that are out in the community, all right? Getting people to practice safer sex, all right? And we look at the different populations that are getting infected, and that's what we spend a lot of our time and our effort for, which of course includes right now young people, still the gay community, and still people of color. In the last month, I've had 5 new diagnoses that have come into the office to get started on treatment, those sorts of things. There's still a ton of people out there who are getting infected. All right. So part of what I'll talk about is what I'm saying to them when they're coming in for these initial visits. We're getting the basic blood test. We're talking to them about what we need to do for treatment. All right. The other problem that we have with HIV right now is keeping the people alive. All right. So we got to diagnose the people. We'd like to diagnose them early instead of waiting until they're sick and showing up in hospitals. All right. But the key is to keep them alive. It's estimated right now that somebody who's newly infected, 2012 with HIV, will live a near normal lifespan, maybe 5 to 10 years shorter than someone who is non-HIV positive. So for example, if their mom and dad live to be in their 80s, maybe they're going to live to be in their 70, 75 sort of range. Now part of that's a guess, all right, because better medicines are coming along. For all we know, 10 years from now we'll have a cure and that'll be the end of it. But as it stands right now, people can live a long, long time with HIV, and they can live healthy with HIV. All right. The key things are that they've got to go to the doctor like they're supposed to. They got to take their medicine like they're supposed to. All right. So I want to thank Carla with Abbott for being the sponsor of some of these talks today. And I'm going to skip through some of these bullet points to get to the meat of this. And of course, everybody in this room knows this part. Okay. Right now, 2012, there is no vaccine that prevents HIV. All right? There is no cure for HIV, but there's lots of good medicines out there to treat it. All right? There's a distinction between HIV and AIDS. All right? I do not like the term AIDS. The way I explain to patients is you're HIV positive. All right? And until further notice, that is not going to change. All right? Now the question is, how strong is your immune system? Is it a strong immune system? Is it a weak immune system? All right? Technically, AIDS is defined as an immune system with a CD4 cell count less than 200, which means you're in the danger area. You're at high risk of unusual infections or cancers related to your HIV. HIV, in and of itself, does not kill people. All right? HIV weakens the immune system. Unusual infections and cancers kill people. All right? Okay. So the goal is, number 1, don't ever let them get below 200. Goal number 2, if they're below 200, get them above it. All right? All right, we've gone through extensively how it's transmitted. All right. So, different ways to check for HIV. Used to be you had to do blood tests. Now there's an oral swab that's a very good test. It's a very rapid test. You can. It's a point of service test. You can do it in a community outreach van. You can do it at a health clinic. You can do it in the ER. You can do it at the doctor's office. If they test positive with the oral test, we do always repeat with the traditional blood test, okay? Having said that, the oral test is well over 99% accurate, all right? It's a very, very good test. All right, and then the person gets referred, they get diagnosed wherever, the ER, the doctor's office, something like that. They get referred out to an ASO, to EFA, something like that, and they say, okay, here's how you're going to get into care. Maybe you've already got health insurance, and it's easy. Here's some names of some good doctors. Right? Maybe they don't have insurance, and so they get on to Ryan White funding through Illinois Ryan White or through EFA on this side of the river. All right? Or, excuse me, through HSI on this side of the river. And that gets them the health care that they need, which will pay for them to go to the doctor, get their blood drawn, get on medicine if need, and they get referred over to someone like me. All right? And then we have a sit down and we talk about all of these sort of issues, including when is it time to start medicine. It used to be in the early mid-90s. We would tell people, hey, listen, if your counts are good, your immune system is nice and strong, let's hold off. All right? Because medicines, they're good, but they have side effects. Your immune system's strong. Let's just keep an eye on you periodically. Over the last 3 to 4 years, that has definitely changed. All right, we've had some really good studies that have shown that people who start medicine early, meaning as soon as they find out they're positive, tend to live longer, live healthier, and have a lower risk of transmitting HIV to another person. So there are a lot of good reasons to get everybody on medicine that's willing to start on medicine. All right, and there's multiple guidelines, there's multiple great medicines out there. There's currently 6 different classes of medicine, which are sort of represented by these little pill bottles at the bottom. All right, in each of those classes, there's, with the exception of the injection, the number 4, the fusion inhibitor, is only one of those. But in the other classes, there's multiple different medicines in there, made by different drug companies. Sometimes the drug companies co-formulate their medicines. And there's now 3 medicines that are as easy to take as 1 pill once a day. All right? So gone are the days of, hey, I got to take a handful of pills 3-4 times a day. I got to set my watch. I got to be perfect about taking it. And now we're talking about potentially as simple as 1 pill once a day. All right? Which makes us excited, and I think a lot of the patients get excited. All right? But that still means they got to take that pill every single day. All right? And here's the problem that I run into. All right? The patients, they come to me. We have all these talks. All right? And then the question is, how am I going to make that person healthy? Well, I'm going to put them on medicine. Simple as that. Here's your prescription. Bye-bye. See you later. All right? Unfortunately, it does not work that way. All right? If we're talking about diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever, all right? If I give somebody a medicine and they take it and they come back in about a month or so and I check them and I'm like, oh, your numbers are perfect. Just keep taking the medicine. Let's space out these appointments. Then all of a sudden they don't show up for about, 4 or 5 months. And they come in and they say, I hadn't been very good about taking those medicines. All right? With diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, that kind of thing, I can put them right back on the same medicine, slap them on the wrist and say, take your medicine, you'll be fine. All right? With HIV, that's not the case. If you miss too many doses, all right, doc, I remember it during the work week because I'm working, and on the weekend I sleep in and I forget to take my medicine. Oh, I go on vacation and I left it at home. If you do that too many times, you become resistant, and that medicine no longer works for you. All right? So then, let's say, for example, let's play pretend. Let's play pretend that I put them on the 1 pill once a day, and they're super excited. I'm a young guy. I'm not used to taking medicine. 1 pill once a day sounds good for me. Then they come back after 6 months, and they have not been good about taking their medicine. And their viral load got good, now it's bad again. And we find out they're resistant. Gone are those 1 pill once a day. Now we're talking about taking pills twice a day, maybe even more than that, right, to get their HIV under control. So they've blown an option. Once you blow an option, once you become resistant to a medicine, that never goes away. All right? That medicine's always off the table. All right? So how can I get someone to not become resistant? And that's what adherence is. All right? You have to be 100% or as close as you can be to perfect with these pills. All right? And adherence doesn't just mean I swallow my pill every day just like you told me. That means for certain pills, I take it with food like I'm supposed to, or I take it at the same time of day like I'm supposed to. All right? Which is what that gets on to. The people who are dying of HIV right now, 2012. The people I'm putting in the hospital, the people who are getting those infections, those cancers, and they're dying related to their HIV, are people who are not getting diagnosed. They're showing up way too late in their immune system. Their CD4 cell count, which we want to be above 200, they're coming in, their CD4 cell counts are 5 or 10 when they're getting diagnosed, and they've already got cancer at the time of diagnosis. Or they're people who got into care, did well, and then for some reason dropped out of care. All right? They were in prison getting care, they got let go of prison, they never hooked up with a doctor. They were doing really well, and then they relapsed and started getting into drugs and stopped going to the doctor. And then they finally decide, either they get sick or they finally decide, hey, it's time for me to get my life straightened out again. And sometimes it gets a little too late. All right? So the people who do well and have absolutely no problem come to the doctor, take their medicine, no worries. Okay? The people who are dying of HIV are those, for a multitude of reasons, are not able to take their medicines consistently. All right? Resistance occurs, that sort of missing dose thing. Resistance occurs when there's enough medicine in your body for the virus to see it, but not quite enough medicine to kill the virus completely. All right? So the virus sees the medicine and learns how to become resistant to it. It shifts, it changes. All right? And once that happens, the sensitive virus you have, represented by the green little guy here, it goes away. And all you're left with is this red resistant virus. It takes over as the dominant virus in your system. All right? And resistance can occur to any of these medicines. Some may be a little more less likely to cause resistance than others, but it can occur to any of these medications. And it's estimated that about 3/4 of all people who have detectable viral loads, I'm not talking about the people who are undetectable, but those who are detectable have at least one resistance mutation. All right? Some people come to my office and they have resistance and they've never been on any medicine. All right? They're new diagnosis. All right? And I tell them when they hit the door, when they come in, I said, we got to find out how much virus you get in your system, the viral load. We got to find how strong your immune system is, the CD4 cell count, and we have to do a resistance test to make sure that I can give you all the medicine I want to give you. And they say, Doc, I've never been on a medicine. I can't be resistant. About 10% of people who are infected with HIV will inherit resistance from the person who gave them HIV.
Wow.
So if they got infected by somebody who had never been on medicine, okay, they're probably not going to be resistant. But if they got infected by somebody who's been to the doctor, who's been taking medicine but doing it really poorly, he's resistant to darn near everything, and they got infected with that guy, sometimes they come in and their medicines already that are off the table. They cannot take. All right?
Is there a lot of people that know that information?
How do you mean?
Like, as you say, if they were intimate with somebody and were exposed to the infection by somebody that was resistant by the medication, so which makes them resistant. You know, I mean, do a lot of people know that that's possible?
If you're talking about the patients, I'll tell you this.